Hello and welcome to the Luton Quarterly Update, the first for 2019. Thanks for joining us. My name is Cam Sullings. Today we'll take a look at the first 3 months of 2019, also a look ahead at the remainder of the year and what that might mean for you. In this, the election year, we'll have a look at real estate and the election and any outcomes that may affect your business. And we'll also have some opinion on the weeks and months post the election and any impacts should there be a change of government. Let's meet the people doing the talking. Head of Sales, Craig Sheargold. Welcome back, Craig.
Hello, Cam.
And also Tim Burke, Director of Weston Creek. Welcome, Tim.
G'day, Cam.
Well, first of all, 2019, first 3 months, been strong?
Yeah, no, it's been a pretty consistent start across the board from the team, and we're finding now certainly the market's back into full swing now, and we're seeing good activity in all price ranges, but particularly at the moment in the sort of $600,000 to $800,000 price range in the established market. That's probably where we're seeing the strongest activity. Would you agree, Tim?
Yeah, definitely. It's well populated right around the, across all the markets, I think. Yeah.
And how about specifically the Weston Creek area for you, Tim?
Yeah, so things have certainly tightened up a little bit there in terms of the amount of registrations and people coming through open homes, but there's certainly some good buyers amongst that lot there. Homes are still selling, but they're very much process-driven sales where owners are listening to market feedback probably more than they've ever had to before.
And has there been much interest in the developments happening in the area?
Yeah, to a degree. We're seeing a lot in the Molonglo area, just near Weston Creek, of course, there. Look, there is, certainly a growing area through there. The Weston Creek as a whole is more established, so we're not seeing as many through there. But some of the new areas, look, absolutely.
If you listen to the media, the whole of Australia is just doom and gloom as far as real estate is concerned. We know Sydney and Melbourne are hurting at the moment, lower clearance rates, but Canberra is still pretty strong with auction clearance rates.
Yeah, that's a good point, Cam. So I do follow all those figures nationally. I know last weekend at Luton, our clearance rate was 60%, which in general is a strong clearance rate in Canberra. For most of the last 6 months, we've been gravitating between 50 and 60% clearance rate. And I think what Tim was alluding before is, we're very much agents who are running good processes with vendors that are getting well serviced, that are realistic. There's still buyers in the marketplace for their house. What we've probably noticed a difference in is the depth of buyers. There's probably not quite the volume of buyers competing at the auctions for houses as there were. And look, we are selling a lot of auctions where there's just one or two bidders at the auction, but invariably they're the best buyer, and it's quite often becoming more of a negotiation after we've had 3 weeks of marketing and the vendors are comfortable that that's where the property sits in the marketplace.
To the federal election, is it going to hinder or is it going to help the local market? Tim, what do you think?
As far as that's concerned, I think, well, seemingly it almost looks like a foregone conclusion as to which way it goes. A betting man says they know which way it goes. Typically, Canberra's sort of performed quite well subsequently. If there is a change of government, particularly the public service drive that really is behind Canberra there, typically we see quite a strong consumer sentiment, which if that does happen, there's certainly plenty of money in Canberra as far as that's concerned. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of excitement about the area, and certainly unemployment is low, wage growth is still there. So all the ingredients are there for it to continue to do quite well.
Craig, is it a good time to sell or buy?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, and I agree with Tim's sentiments, but I think most of our vendors, whether they're vendors or whether they're buyers, for most of the people we're dealing with, it's not a discretionary purchase as such. Most of them are moving for a life-changing reason or event that's happened in their lives. So probably the week before the election there'll be a bit of sitting back. I probably, if I was going to be auctioning my property, wouldn't be running an auction on election day. But pretty much with Tim, I think life will move on after that. But most of the people we're transacting with actually have a need to either buy or sell for a genuine reason. So the election will grab some spotlight. Personally, I've always felt it's a little bit overplayed. We all wake up the day after the election, phones will be ringing on the Monday, life will move on.
I would have thought that election day might be a good day to hold an auction. Everyone's out and about, aren't they?
Maybe a barbecue.
Yes, yeah. And so what about the months post to the election? How do you see that shaping out?
Look, if stock levels generally dry up over the winter sort of period there, so it goes in a bit of a hibernation there, and we don't see that usually come back on until spring. So if that's the case there, the stock levels aren't that heavy at this particular point. But if that does continue the way we think it will, then it should be a reasonably sort of a reasonably good winter if you were a seller. From a buyer's point of view, I still think there's going to be a lot of stock for you, enough stock for you there to buy and to have choice.
Yeah, and Craig, similar thoughts?
Yeah, so to some degree, with it being so seasonal, what Tim's saying is exactly right. It's always hard to get a gauge maybe how the market's running because of that tight supply in winter. I think most Canberrans and most agents would realise that there's been a bit of a correction in the marketplace. What we are seeing though now is more buyers, particularly with those looking to upgrade, taking action given the benefit of a correction, because if the bigger properties usually come down a bit more price-wise than the property they might be trading from, which is creating a smaller gap in the changeover price. So we're starting to see a lot more people starting to see this as a really good time to upgrade. And I think we'll have a really good idea of where the market sits once we come out into that spring weather and there's more stock on the market. And just finally, Cam, I think too, we're starting to see an increase in interstate investors where there have been some more considerable corrections, as you've alluded to, in other major cities. And just due to Canberra's consistency over longer periods of time, I think we're starting to see more interstate investor inquiry who like the fundamentals that the Canberra economy offers.
All right, so positive going ahead. Let's wrap it up with the Luton Charity Ball. Of course, a pinnacle event, a wonderful fundraising event midway through the year, June 22. Emails are going out to agencies now and amongst the community. Can't wait for that night.
Yeah, it's a great night, and I might even hand over to Tim. Tim, always one of the best auctioneers in Canberra. He's always in action on that night, and I know Tim with his history at Luton, and I know the whole Luton group is excited about this community contribution, but might let Tim sort of fill you in more on the history of it and exactly what it's about.
Yeah, so it's been very successful. Last year we raised $160,000 for Project Independence, Hartley Life Care and Carina House. We're going with the same charity again this year, so they're going to be the lucky recipients of hopefully a sizable donation as well. But yeah, a ton of fun for those that do come along and obviously raising some great money.
And however Richard is going to outdo last year's outfit this year, we do not know.
Well, it's a Miami theme this year, and he recently visited Miami, so yeah, who knows, yeah.
Having said that, it's highly unlikely he'll be able to outdo last year's outfit. Just to get that on the record.
Absolutely, just go to YouTube and have a look. Gents, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Cam.
All right, there we go. The first of the quarterly updates for 2019. Don't forget, June 22 is the Charity Ball, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks for joining us.